7:30 a.m. 1039 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is Off the Bench. I'm your host, Kelsey Huffine here. Sitting to my left, of course, co-host Rich Jones over here and Pops over here as well. We got Walker sitting back at the studio holding down the fort for us. Hey, Pops, can you do us a favor and turn down the audio on the camera?
A little bit of feedback.
A little bit of feedback here. So this morning, of course, following Christmas, going into the New Year's Six Bowls, moving right along further into the college football season. We're now definitely what used to be toward the end. We're kind of in the 3/4 way.
We're about to start in the fourth quarter.
Starting the fourth quarter in a way. A lot of news that we've seen breaking over this past week into this weekend. Kyle Whittingham is now the future of Michigan at 67 years old.
I wouldn't say that he's the present.
He's the present
of Michigan football.
Well, we now know who is leading the Michigan Wolverines for, I would say, the next 5 years. But I think a part of this process is finding the predecessor to Kyle Whittingham at Michigan, to one of the coordinators over there to smoothly string along the process, which, as we now know, I think they've kind of given up on keeping these recruits for now that they have committed. And they're just trying to look toward the future to see what's going on at the University of Michigan in terms of football. It seems like they do have another guy they're trying to pull away from BYU, the offensive coordinator who was he was going to be the guy if Sataki went to Penn State, he was going to be the guy at Penn State upgraded to be the head coach. And it seems like Kyle Whittingham's trying to pull him away, and he would be the future of the University of Michigan.
I agree with you for a good bit of what you just said there. I think as far as the future of Michigan, there is no telling where it's at. Is Whittingham a great coach? Absolutely. Did he just retire after 30 years at Utah like a week and a half ago? Also true. I don't think they're completely giving up on the recruits. I think one of his biggest complaints with Utah was the transfer portal and the NIL and everything. I think he's going to try to hit this transfer portal with a ton of bricks. And I think, I mean, you could see as many as 10, 15, 20 kids from Utah go, cool, that's my coach. I can go play at Michigan now. All right. And go play Big Ten football instead of out there begging for money. I mean, this is the second coach now from the Big 12 that I've heard in the last couple of weeks begging their university for money. Arizona State, when they re-upped his contract, came out and basically just admittedly, openly weeping and begging for people to send money. Please donate money. We need money. We need money. We can't compete with Texas Tech. We need money. And so it's became I heard I think it was Colin. I can't tell you exactly who it was that was talking about.
Coward.
Yeah.
Oh,
talking about the general manager position at the universities now and how much, like, we never heard of that 5 years ago.
Well, it wasn't a thing. And then until really Courtney Morgan was brought along to Tuscaloosa and really solidified that role of what it is now.
And that job now is almost more important than the head coach. Because that's the guy that can tell you, hey, you've got the money to spend on that quarterback.
Look at the collective, though, that Kyle left at Utah. I mean, they're the school that has hired that company to run that university.
No, that's BYU.
Program. Oh, that's BYU. I thought it was Utah and BYU.
Utah has signed has a company now, and they're
so Utah's doing that.
BYU got Crumble and the Mormon Church to come together.
Okay,
I'm just saying. So you're talking about, I mean, Kyle's wanting money. They need money. They need money. Well, Utah's got it. The school he left, right?
But they weren't willing to use it. His big complaint was they weren't willing to use it for the NIL and everything.
Yeah.
Think about the timeline as well of how this is lined up. I mean, Whittingham retired, a month ago?
I mean,
now?
It feels like 3 hours
Which was
ago.
about the same time as this whole NIL collective came into deal with how Utah is going to deal with this moving forward. Maybe Whittingham wasn't a fan of this.
It could be. And if that's the case, Michigan is now on the slippery slope, as you may, Because if you're not happy with the NIL, which is why Nick got out of it.
Yeah.
Like if you aren't willing to just go out there and completely, the only reason Ole Miss is in the playoffs, the only reason Texas Tech is in the playoffs, you could say the same about Ohio State. They spent, what was it, $22 million last year to win a national championship. Most of those guys are still on the team this year, and look who's number 2 in the country.
Well, I mean, also you look at those teams, and we talked about this earlier in the year. Look at the teams like in the SEC, like Vanderbilt, Missouri, et cetera, that spent the money on transfer portal, okay, NIL incentives to build those teams. Those teams on average, like they average like 24 years old, 23 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they're playing other teams that did not do that as much.
Well, you look at Clemson and how bad Clemson's been for the last couple of years, because at one point in time, I heard a stat, there were 4 teams who didn't have a transfer kid on the team. It was Army, Navy, Air Force, and Clemson.
Yeah. And you see
one of these is not like the others.
Did Clemson play yesterday or they play today?
I think Clemson plays today.
Yeah.
Penn State.
I think that's
Clemson
probably
plays in the is it the Pinstripe Bowl?
No, it's the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Is that no, that's not the Pop-Tart Bowl.
You were both wrong.
What
It
is
is the Bad Boy Mowers.
Bad Boy Mowers
Pinstripe.
Bowl.
It is the Bad Boy Mower
Pinstripe Bowl.
It is.
Okay. So they'll be playing in Yankee Stadium, over in Yankee Stadium. A lot of bowl games happening today, of course. The Military Bowl, Bad Boys Mowers, Pinstripe Bowl, Fenway Bowl, between UConn and Army, the Pop-Tart Bowl, big hitter. This time of the year, we're starting to get into the better chunk of bowl games that we'll see. We'll see, of course, BYU and Georgia Tech.
Don't sleep on the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl.
What was the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl called?
I think it used. Was it the
Outback? Was that the Outback?
No, Outback was down in Orlando.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't remember what that one was called.
It wasn't remember either.
But that game could be lit today. There's a pun for you. It's early. Yeah, you actually have some really.
You have some decent games today.
I mean, there's games that I'm going to watch just because of the names on the jerseys. We always talk about getting robbed with a hell of a football game, right? I mean, look at Clemson and Penn State.
That should have been.
If I would have told you at the beginning of the season, hey guys, we're gonna get a Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl between Penn State and Clemson, what have you had said? Because this is not a highly ranked matchup. Neither of these teams are ranked.
I'd have thought you were smoking whatever you were when you had Texas A&M winning the national championship.
Fair enough.
And Auburn beating Alabama.
Fair enough.
Remember right? Yeah.
Now, if you'd have told me at the beginning of the season, hey, at almost the end of the year, Penn State and Clemson are going to play each other in a bowl game, you'd have thought, oh yeah, the playoffs, they're going to be in the Sugar Bowl or not the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl.
Kyle Whittingham, getting back to the news that is breaking the past couple of days here. Kyle Whittingham has signed a 5-year deal worth $8.2 million with the University of Michigan to be their next head coach. 75% of that will be guaranteed, which means his 2026 salary is expected to be around $8 million. So Kyle Whittingham, last 21 season, he's been at Utah. This is a move that kind of solidifies his legacy in a way of, he wants to go out on top. Can he do that at the University of Michigan? Is it better than staying at the University of Utah?
Oh, no. All day long, University of Michigan. He's got all the resources he wants at hand.
And I understand.
The Big Ten.
100% agree, but let's look at some statistics here, okay?
Yep.
Woody Hayes.
Yep.
You know how old he was when he coached his last game against Michigan?
I don't know. I have no clue. I didn't wake up this morning looking at my Woody Hayes statistical stuff.
That wasn't in the newspaper.
Hey, I'm just saying, okay? He was 65.
So you're saying he's too old. That's your talking point.
Okay, let's keep going.
How old was Nick?
Bo Schembechler. Bo Schembechler. How old do you think he was?
I pulled the wrong stat log this morning.
He had to be late 60s.
Nope, he was 60 years old.
And all these guys look so old, and I'm reminding myself how old I am.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kyle Whittingham's sitting at 67, and he is about to start with a new school.
Well, did you
think about this? If Saban would have said, "Okay, we're going to go in the career where it all started with my first national championship at 67, and we're going to go back to LSU. Let's just go back into the past here." If he would have done this, now we're not speaking of what was going on at the University of Alabama at the time. He was just like, I'm done. I want to go back to where it all started, where we started getting some success with LSU there. Okay, let's go back to there. Saban would have had what, 3 years left? He retired at 70.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, but just Saban's legacy was already cemented. I mean, he's got a statue out in front of the football field down there in Tuscaloosa.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
he's got all those national.
Whittingham's the most winningest coach in Utah football history.
I don't know if that's saying much when you were there for 30 years.
And how many national championships does he have?
He did not win any.
The same number I have.
Yeah.
Okay. How many conference championships does he have?
I believe the same number I have.
Okay. That's kind of my point when I say, can he go to Michigan and get something done? He's got resources at Michigan that he did not have at Utah.
Well, he's
got legacy at Michigan that he did not have at Utah from a football perspective. He's got the big game with Ohio State every freaking year that he gets to sit there for the next 5 years and coach that team.
That's the difference. Is Les Miles the same coach at the University of Kansas that he is at the University at LSU?
Oh, no,
absolutely not.
He's not the same coach, right? So let's just put this on a pedestal. If you elevate half these head coaches around the country, okay, let's say Jonathan Smith at Michigan State, for example, you put him at let's just say LSU, for example, because it's one that's been fresh in our minds. Okay, you put Jonathan Smith at LSU. Is that going to elevate him enough to put him in a playoff picture or a national championship?
The LSU's got the recruiting behind it. You better believe it. It elevates him personally and professionally, from a financial standpoint and professional standpoint.
I mean, you can put this around any coach in the country and say, okay, if you take this coach and put him in a completely different situation with more money, more access to recruits, a better NIL collective, you can say that they'll be in a national championship picture.
Who was the last coach at LSU?
Brian Kelly.
Did Brian Kelly win a national championship at LSU?
No.
Brian Kelly couldn't talk like he couldn't do that. That was his problem. He tried.
He did.
He tried.
Do you know what Kyle Whittingham's yearly annual salary at Utah was?
I'm going to guess 5.5.
5.5. Okay.
I would say probably around 6.
What did you say he signed with Michigan at?
8.5.
8.5 would be $5 million more.
Oh, he's only making
8.2. 8.2.
He was $3.5 million at Utah.
Yeah, he's loving this right now.
Whittingham just made the jump of his future. I mean, and it's 75% of that is guaranteed.
He could absolutely suck for the next 2 years.
He's not going to.
Like I said, the goal is not to be good now for Michigan. This goal is to keep this solidified for the next 30 years. And bringing in a guy like him and bringing along a guy like BYU's Jay Hill, you did be the future of the program.
You brought an adult into the company. I'll use this as an analogy. Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs created the whole thing.
Yes.
The board got mad at him and kicked him out. The company started to go downhill. They begged him to come back, wrote him a huge check to come back. He came back, and then Apple exploded again. This is Michigan bringing an adult. He might be old. It might be grandpa, but he's going to caretake the program. He's going to pick up some kids. Some kids from Utah are going to want to come play with him, and he's going to step it forward.
No. I'm just saying I got my hand up. I put my hand up like Richie.
Are we in class now? I know I put the lockers on the ground.
So hear me out.
I don't know if we have to raise our hands.
You say they don't have to worry about things right now.
Mm-hmm.
A year from now, we're going to be sitting here, okay? Kyle Whittingham, if he goes and loses by 30 against Ohio State, we're going to be talking freaking, is he in the hot seat a year into this program?
Absolutely not.
Oh, he loses by 30 in the first year against Ohio State.
Yeah, that's when you hold on, okay? The problem is where Michigan has made the mistake is they have put 75% of this guaranteed into the contract. So when that buyout happens, he gets 75% of that money up front. Right there, okay? That's when you have one of the coordinators take control. That's exactly when it happens. And Michigan has this money to burn. They have it sitting in a locker room somewhere or a safe. Same thing they did with all the scandals that have gone on. That's where that money is going to go, okay? You're replacing scandal money that you're already expecting to pay, but going to pay it to Kyle Whittingham.
I mean, you're bringing in a guy that you just hope doesn't have an OnlyFans girlfriend and a mistress and he does like to ride motorcycles, so he's a little bit of an outlaw, little bit.
So the deal with Whittingham, a lot of Michigan fans are loving this right now. So if you look at Whittingham's Instagram account, there's only 2 followers that he has, or he only follows 2 people.
Who is it?
It's his wife and his daughter.
Oh,
So
look
they
at
got to be loving
that.
this. And it's
That's
a
a good
private
name.
account, and he hasn't posted in the last 10 years.
Okay, so somebody, I guarantee his daughter created the account. Hey, Dad, you need to have an Instagram account, and so you can be active with social media for recruiting and stuff like that.
As long as there's no calls to certain services out of the I don't remember that. Was that a Cincinnati-based one for Hugh Freeze? Hugh Freeze, was that a Cincinnati-based service?
Cincinnati.
As long as there's no
Cincinnati or
Cincinnati-based
Cleveland.
services, it was either Cincinnati or Cleveland. While he was on recruiting visits, as long as that stuff's not going on, I think the University of Michigan's going to be just fine.
I think that this is not a 5-year plan. This is a steady the ship, put an old rugged captain up at the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get us back on track. We are going to try to find over the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to find the next guy, the Michigan man, to come in. After year 3, he's going to become one of your coordinators, one of your, whatever you want to call it, up in the booth. There's 72 different names for different coaches nowadays. And it's going to be a handoff off to him to try to get it back on. The reason I disagree with you, Pops, about if he loses to Ohio State by 30, they had what was their recruiting class this year? Wasn't it like in the 120s?
How about Michigan?
Michigan.
Yeah.
Their recruiting class is terrible. They're going to lose. We're 2 days away from the portal opening. As soon as the portal opens, there's going to be a ton of kids that are going to be like, "Nah, we're out. We don't know who this old geezer is. We're going to go somewhere else." We're talking about 17, 18, 19-year-old kids looking at a almost 70-year-old. They're going to call him grandpa. And he doesn't have an Instagram. He doesn't know how to, he doesn't have a TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that.
What do the young kids call it now? Would he be Unc?
Oh,
He'd be Unc.
Yeah.
That's definitely Unc right there.
Boomer.
7:30 a.m. 103.9 FM. Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We got to take a quick break here and get a few commercials in. So we'll be right back. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is Off the Bench. I'm your host, Kelsey Alfine. Of course, co-host Richie Jones sitting over here to my left and Pops here across on the other camera. There is a stat that I found this morning that I think a lot of people haven't really looked at, and it comes from mostly from a lot of Indiana fans that are really I see a lot of arrogance coming from them. Like they're already going to buy Peach Bowl tickets before the Rose Bowl has even been played. And I see it a lot. And I think there needs one stat that really needs to get talked about. Pops, I know we were talking about this morning. So let's turn to Richie and see if he can actually understand this stat. Okay, so 27 of 33 touchdowns came against multiple teams that have the same thing in common. Okay, for Fernando Mendoza.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, I think I know. I think I know where you're going. Okay.
So which part of this was Fernando Mendoza? Did he have good games or did he have the poor games against these teams? So I'm going to give you upper and lower. Okay.
Okay.
The 27 of 33, did that come against the 5 best teams in the schedule, or did that come from the worst teams on the schedule?
From my understanding, that 27 out of 33 all had losing records.
So 27 to 33 touchdowns for Fernando Mendoza came against Kennesaw State, what a powerhouse they are.
Hey, don't talk bad about Kennesaw State like that.
Didn't they win their conference? They won their bowl game and conference championship, did they? Or did they lose? Dad was caught on their bowl game for a little bit. They were the Western Michigan. I don't know if it was Western. It may have been Central.
Was that the one that was like 48-0?
Yes.
They were conference champions. But
and I don't remember who won the game.
48-0. I don't either.
Indiana State, Illinois, Michigan State, UCLA, Wisconsin, and Purdue.
Okay, so the only thing I got to say about that, Illinois at one point was a ranked team.
Yes.
You know, they were good in the start, the beginning of the year. They kind of fell off. So, you know, you score a couple of touchdowns against that team.
But the statistics are not for how many wins or losses they had. What they all have in common is their defenses ranked in the bottom half nationally in passing efficiency allowed, explosive plays allowed, and red zone touchdown percentage.
Wow.
So let's stack that up against Alabama. Where does Alabama rank in that? And I think that's what.
This is going to be one of the probably the best defensive they played all year. They haven't seen the front 7 talent in the NFL.
Second best defense they've played all year.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Fair enough. Okay.
Where they scored a whopping 13 points.
Yeah,
13 points. So when Fernando Mendoza actually played against competition against top defenses like Iowa, Oregon, Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State, Fernando Mendoza had a total of 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
So you're calling Penn State a top defense?
Their defense was solid this year.
Yes, they had a solid defense compared to the actual team.
Right here. I mean, I remember that game, and if it wasn't for like a sliver of a half inch on that dude's foot in the end zone,
Penn State wins that game.
Penn State wins.
What I will say about Fernando Mendoza is he doesn't collapse against these top-ranked defenses, but he is definitely not elevated against elite top-tier disciplined defenses.
So, I mean, you take that with Bama. You know, you get Overton back this week, which, okay, awesome. He's playing. I just wonder how much weight he's lost.
Yeah.
You know, and is his athletic ability still there a month later when you've been off the field for that long? I mean,
well, for Mendoza to be okay, so this is what I would really say. This is how I would put him in a nutshell. Okay. When windows tighten and pre-snap defenses increase, Mendoza tends to hold the ball longer and he forces throws late.
If he holds the ball against this team, the way that whoever went up into the booth or onto the field, I can't remember where our defensive coordinator sits. He was up in the booth.
I think he was on the booth against Oklahoma. Yeah.
Whoever got in the elevator, rode it up to the top of the stadium in Norman, slapped him in the back of the head and reminded him that you can rush more than 4 players.
Yeah, you can blitz. Yeah,
you are legally allowed. We pulled out the rule book and showed him, hey, you're allowed to blitz. You can send more guys.
Yeah,
and whoever that person was deserves a raise first and foremost.
And so, Kelsey, what you're saying is Bama put some pressure on, Mendoza gets frustrated, and the deuce is loose.
Yes. That was a perfect way to put it, Bob.
Ah, man, I love it.
Historically, Heisman Trophy winners up against Alabama in the playoffs usually don't do great.
Well, no, they do not.
Remember what Fields did against Bama? Remember Ohio State, all the hype that year?
Oh, man.
Justin Fields comes in there, and I'm going to run all over you guys. And, man, they shut him down.
I remember Fournette at LSU came in, and Fournette was having his Heisman season, right? And Bama came in there complete.
He was
was that game in Baton Rouge?
In Baton Rouge.
And Bama completely shut him down.
He had less than 50 yards rushing.
I think it was like 9.
Yeah,
I mean, it was ridiculously low. Kels, I had to get that line in there somewhere. You're the one that made the comment.
The deuce is loose,
man. Bama. I mean, you think about that. I know we're talking about Mendoza here and putting pressure on him. And Bama's front seven's got to step up. They got to blitz more than 3. They can't do those drop back linebackers. But I think if you look at that game, that Oklahoma game, they were blitzing, they were backing off. They were blitzing, they were backing off. And that just frustrated the heck out of Oklahoma's quarterback. And you put that kind of frustration and that kind of pressure on Indiana's quarterback. It's been proven with these stronger teams. He gets a little frustrated, and maybe we do get the deuces loose. Maybe we get a safety pick, whatever it might be. But, you got to get that pressure on the quarterback.
Well, and here's the thing with it, right, is – and I know we do have to take a quick break here real quick, and we'll get more into Indiana and Alabama here on the other side. But Alabama, the way I would put this up is just I think there's a little too much hype around Indiana right now to going into this game. I think what I've said all season is they just haven't played the competition that they need, because they're going to get into this game, and I think they're going to be taken by a little bit surprised. I get it. They played Ohio State. It's the best team on their record so far. So, but we're going to get into more on the other side. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. being careful with our words here about Ty Simpson, or October Ty, is what his nickname has been now. It's been established that he is October Ty, and that's what we are hoping to see against Indiana in the Rose Bowl, is the October Ty team. Of course, the Jekyll and Hyde that we're going to see from Alabama, of which team we're actually going to get. But what I wanted to focus on here was his mindset going into this game and what he had said on Bussin' with the Boys earlier this week.
Mm-hmm. October Tie, by the way, sounds like a really bad martial art.
Oh, October Tie. Sorry, I got Cobra Kai thing kind of come back in my head, man.
As Pops gets us canceled over here. What I wanted to focus on was his mindset going into this game of what he is willing to do to win a national championship. And like I said, being careful with our words here as we are on the radio side. He said he would cut a certain part of his body off to win the national championship.
I mean, somebody that sit on the bench for the last couple of years and behind the players that he played, I mean, he knows what the Alabama standard looks like. And, you know, when you have a leader on a football team that's playing a quarterback position, will say something like that, man, high five. You know, if he loses a testicle, I don't care as a fan. All I know is we got the number 19 on our helmets, you know.
And he can come back next year with a second one.
Good.
Sorry, that was terrible.
No, I mean, it's just,
hey, if he can go 2 for 2, I think Ty Simpson would be just okay with that.
Yeah.
Him winning a national championship, especially when Kelsey, you said Jekyll and Hyde, and we have joked off the air about how you never know what Alabama team you're going to get. You know, that's just an honest feedback from a fan and from somebody doing the show with you. Which Alabama team is going to show up? The team that was down 17-0 in the first quarter and had 12 total yards in that Oklahoma game, or the team that showed up in the second quarter and third quarters and put pressure, defense, and ran the dang ball, and the guys that are showing up now, Brooks, Hill, Williams has been taken off. Did you guys know this?
What?
I saw a thing this morning, the online community for 2K football, whatever that 26, Williams got taken off the cover. Ryan Williams,
Well, I mean, we could talk about cover curses, things like that, cover curses. I mean, but we really haven't seen that with how much we've seen from College Football 26, the video game.
Yeah,
it's only been out 2 years, so we can't really say. The cover curse is there for it, but Jeremiah Smith has just done fine.
Yeah.
He's a cover athlete as well, and he's done perfectly fine this year. He's had an incredible year. So the ability for Alabama in this game, and I'll talk about the notes in Indiana in a second here, but the clear thing about Alabama is they have a clear edge in blue chip talent, which we've seen in the past that can take over games, especially these high pressured, playoff bowl game atmospheres. That can't take over the game.
Mm-hmm.
These blue chip talents that Alabama has. They also have the ability to flip a game in 3 to 4 plays. That's all they need. You can get a pass downfield, a couple of connections later, you've got a touchdown. We saw them do it against Oklahoma.
Right.
They can do that. It's all over the field. They're comfortable with the chaos moments.
Right. They're comfortable winning games against ranked opponents.
Yes, which Indiana can't say the same thing because they've only played how many have they played this year?
They've played
2, 3?
I think they've played 3 when they were ranked.
Yes.
Because you brought up Indiana earlier, Illinois earlier. They were ranked preseason really high. They were supposed to be the team that Indiana turned into, and they fell off the face of the planet. But one thing I was going to talk about, you were talking about the difference between which Alabama shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest changes in that game was Ty, when he was October Ty, as you said. He would come to the line, he would run the play, and he had 4 guys he could throw the ball to. Well, for whatever reason, Mr. Hollywood, maybe he's been hanging out in Hollywood preparing for the Rose Bowl all season, and when our plane touches down, we can pick him up on the way to the stadium.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been there. Bernard dropped a few early in that game as well. That was just unheard of for Bernard to drop a ball.
But he also may have had the best catch we've seen all season.
But hold on.
Yeah.
Let him get there.
You're 2 quarters ahead of me right now.
Okay, all right.
All of a sudden, Ty comes and starts hitting players. Quavos, I believe is how we've been calling him Quavos. We've been calling him Quavos all season long. The announcer, he catches 1 catch in this game against Oklahoma, and the announcer goes, Cuevas. And I was like, who?
He needs an endorsement from a certain water brand.
Yes. He then hits the true freshman,
Latia Brooks.
Razzia Brooks, number 17, looking like a previous number 17, I believe what the phrase was. We saw a catch that most people will never see in their life. I've had the opportunity to see it twice now. I was there in the stadium when Pro Throw caught that ball behind the Southern Miss guy's back and rolls into the end zone. So the catch by
I compared it to
Bernard.
Was it David Tyree, the helmet catch for the New York Giants? Yeah.
Did you see what Bernard got in the mail?
Yes, Andrew, the Moss gloves.
He got the gloves,
the signed gloves that say "You got Moss,"
which is awesome.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, Ty's now got 3, 4, 5 different players. He's hitting Hill. Hill's hitting. Did y'all know that we could actually run the ball?
Well, I mean,
we talk about, the health. DeBoer said a couple days ago, this is the healthiest this team has been in a long time. You just got back LT Overton as well.
Yeah.
We're really waiting to see, the rumor of what he had was mono, and how much weight has he lost from that? Did he lose any weight from that? Was it actually mono? Was it something else? How healthy is he really going to be? How much is a groove is he going to be with that Alabama defense? Is he going to be able to cover up those holes, those running holes that kind of have been open? I know James Smith and Tim Keenan have kind of held the ground there, and they've done well at it, but LT Overton just elevates this defense. And back to Latia Brooks, because we've heard from the beginning of the season, this true freshman's going to be good. A lot of people knew of him at the beginning of the season, and they kind of knew what you could expect for Latia Brooks, but they knew he needed time, and they were kind of waiting for that development to take place. And they were thinking that, toward the midpoint to the later half of the season, he would be in a position to change games.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that from Latia Brooks, and it hasn't come at a more perfect time because of the drop off from Ryan Williams.
And what you've seen from that offense starting to click like they did back in October, allowed the defense to go sit over there, catch their breath, get a little Gatorade in them, have the coach actually talking to their ear about, hey, this is what we're going to do on this next sequence. This is what, and then that defense comes out fired up, ready to run. It magically works when it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Like when the offense is picking up a couple of first downs and going down the field, it gives that defense a minute to breathe. It also gives the other team's defense doesn't have a minute to breathe. And then we come out slinging the ball, a pick six, all of a sudden now it's a whole new ball game. That, he did the same thing at the end of the Tennessee, at the halftime of the Tennessee game. It's now a whole new ball game. You go into we have all the momentum on our side. We've got a game plan that's been working for the last, at that point, 10 minutes. Going into the locker room and come back and just go win the ball game.
Well, I mean, that game, we were up in Kentucky watching that football game, and I think I was driving my parents crazy because I'm yelling at the TV. We're down 17-0. We get that score. We get the field goal, get the pick six, and all of a sudden 17-17 going into the half. And like, where did this come from? And we kept joking right then and there. It's a Jekyll and Hyde with Alabama. But Richie, I think you just laid out what the script has to be.
Mm-hmm.
The offense has to push the ball downfield. You got to do a combination of run and pass. You cannot sit there and just pass.
Right.
If that happens, they drop the 8, they rush 3, and then all you're doing is playing either front, man-to-man up front, or zone on the backside of that. And it forces October Ty to have to sit there and pick instead of throwing accurate downfield passes in the spots, right? If you've got to sit there and pick amongst that zone. And then when you do that, it creates that rest for that defense. And you saw what the defense did against Oklahoma in that second half. They kept rushing, they kept blitzing, they kept getting those key sacks when they needed them.
I'd like to take this time and accept all the thank yous. When we got down 17-0, I did go to my closet, change my shirt, and the rest is history.
So at least someone was looking out for us, because I didn't have a change of clothes.
I didn't either.
Yeah, we didn't have a change of clothes.
Didn't say a word. I got up. They scored that touchdown to go up 17-0. Didn't say a word. Just got up, went through the shirt I had in the lawn, the dirty clothes, put my old school run the ball shirt on, went and sat down on
So let's be honest here, though. Let's rip the Band-Aid off what this game means for both teams. And I think this is a game where Indiana truly does have more to lose than Alabama. They're fighting for legitimacy. They have to prove how legitimate Indiana is, because unless you're an Indiana fan or a Big Ten fan, you don't really take them as a legitimate threat because of who they have faced throughout the competition this year. We just, laid out the numbers for Fernando Mendoza probably being the worst Heisman winner we've seen in the last 20 years.
Well, you talked about a crazy stat earlier with Mendoza.
Yeah.
The January 1st, 2026 is the 100-year anniversary. 100 years to the day that Alabama weren't even the Crimson Tide at that point. Didn't even have a mascot at that point. Rolled into Pasadena and knocked off Washington to win their first ever national championship game. The LA Times wrote an article about the pachyderms are coming to town because they didn't even have a mascot. The Birmingham Trunk Company donated suitcases to the players. They shipped them out with all their gear, and the Birmingham Trunk Company's logo was an elephant. And so when they got there, an LA beat writer wrote that the pachyderms were coming to town to play the mighty Washington Huskies in the Rose Bowl. And the little team from the South came out there and put their name on the map. And I don't know if you've listened to the song lately, it literally tells you if you remember the Rose Bowl will win. This is a huge game for Kellen DeBoer, and to get all the naysayers to shut up. But you're right. This is the biggest game in Indiana football history.
Indiana has to be perfect. Alabama just has to be Alabama.
I think that's it. I think Indiana has to play the perfect football game. And you talking about legitimacy and legacy. Indiana football doesn't have a legacy. Okay. Are they legitimate right now? Heck yeah. The number one team in the country. Okay. But as I've said 100 times in the last couple of weeks, man, how you like to be the number one team in the country? You won the Big Ten. You get to go out west, play in the Rose Bowl. You're playing on the road against probably the biggest Jekyll and Hyde team in all of college football. You don't know what you're going to get from Alabama. But if Alabama shows up, I mean, look out, Indiana.
Here's what I'll say about Mendoza, though. Mendoza he hadn't beaten elite defenses. He survived them.
Oh, okay. I get it.
He didn't put them in the dirt and solidify, hey, this is why I'm a Heisman contender. No, he just kind of rummaged through the dirt and got through it. I mean, he just survived them. It wasn't a beatdown. It wasn't any of that. He just straight survived them.
Survived the Indiana.
To me, when it comes down to this game, though, the game is about who blinks first. And Indiana hasn't been forced to blink much this year.
The Penn State game. I mean, they
he won
a half inch.
He won the trophy that night.
He did.
He did.
Man, I called as soon as he catches that ball, I texted you. Said, there's your Heisman moment.
Yeah.
We do got to take a quick break here, though, so we have time on the other side. This is 7:30 a.m., 1839 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. 7:30 a.m. 1839 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is Off the Bench. I'm your host, Kelsey Alfine. Of course, sitting to my left, Richie Jones, co-host over here, and on the other side of the camera is Pops. Eli's brought up a good point here on YouTube. You can also hit us up on YouTube. Just hit us up in the comment section for the live video here. Urban Meyer appointed Whittingham as head coach when he left Utah 20 years ago, which is true. He did do that. So you have your little connection between Ohio State, Utah, Michigan, your triangular there for the connection that we've seen for kind of how the future is scheming up here for the Big Ten.
Very true. And I heard Urban Meyer say that he was the best head coach he knew. So now the best head coach you know is head coaching your biggest rival. And that's going to make that a little more. Anytime you can throw a little extra gas on a huge rivalry, I'll take it.
Okay, so Richie, when we were off the air, you were talking about Urban Meyer, and you made a comment about your biggest rivalry. So when you think Urban Meyer, are you thinking Florida or are you thinking Ohio State?
So I think, me personally, when I think Urban Meyer, I do think Florida, because it's when I was a student down there at Alabama that I got to see the SEC championship game against Florida. But I think because of him going to Ohio State and then now being on the big noon kickoff show, the Fox version of Game Day, he has pushed that Big Ten narrative more. He's pushed the Ohio State thing more because that's who's writing him the check right now. Yeah. So over the last couple of years, I have seen him more of an Ohio State guy. I will say two things. One, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We haven't said that enough today. Tell your friends, tell your family, go hit the like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. We were leading off about Mendoza and how well has he done. He is the Heisman Trophy winner. The biggest game he's played all year was obviously not even close, the Ohio State game. Number 1 versus number 2, final score 13-10. Both teams had 17 first downs. Indiana was 6 of 13 on third down. Ohio State 4 of 12 on third down. Total yards 340 for Indiana, 322 for Ohio State. Passing, one team had 264 yards passing, the other team had 222. Indiana was the 222. So Mendoza had less passing yards than Ohio State did. The rushing yards, Indiana 118 held Ohio State to 58.
So what I will say about this is where we hitting it. We're hitting on the Heisman. Really, well, I've been the one hitting on the Heisman really for the last 2 years of who the should have been and who are the actual winners. Now the difference is this year there was no clear favorite. I think last year Ashton Jeanty had a viable candidacy to be the Heisman winner.
Yes, sir.
Over Travis Hunter.
Very much.
I think it was very starstruck of what happened with Travis Hunter. He's the first time we saw a two-way player in a long time playing college football at that high of a level. Now, the stats in both ways, I didn't think were impressive enough to say, hey, this guy should be the Heisman winner. I thought it should have been Ashton Jeanty. I thought he was a better player. He was on a good Boise State team. What I'll say about that, the difference is this year, I just don't think there was a clear candidate to rival Fernando Mendoza. He had the Heisman moment, right, that we all hit back off that game-winning catch. The game-winning throw was what he had part in that play.
They shouldn't have been in that position.
But they shouldn't have been in that position to start with.
What if Pavia went into Alabama, went into Tuscaloosa, and beat Bama that day? Does he win the Heisman?
Yes.
If he'd had a moment, yeah.
Yeah, if he would have had a moment, yeah. I 100% agree. I think that would have been it. So the deal with Indiana going into the Rose Bowl against Alabama is, what I'll say about Indiana is they are better overall execution. Playing these teams just as a whole, not really against competition, but just as a whole, they're better overall against competition. They have a really extremely low mistake profile. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They're disciplined. They win with discipline, the spacing, and they know how to play situational football from what we've seen so far in this year. Now, going against Alabama, it might be a different story because of, the discipline they have and the situational football that Alabama has experienced playing this year. But at the same time, Indiana barely beats itself.
So who's got the better coach? Bama? Is it Cignetti?
I think Kellen DeBoer is a better coach.
Or is it DeBoer?
But everybody.
Well, I mean,
wears crimson
Cignetti
thinks
has
I'm crazy.
won at a high level for the past 4 years now.
Yeah.
I think he has 4 losses.
Yeah, something like that.
Over the past 4 years at 2 different programs at James Madison and Indiana. You kind of full circle moment in this game. I mean, Kirk Cignetti, wide receivers coach for Alabama. I think he left in 2011, somewhere in that time frame, to go be a head coach in his own right. He bet on himself, took a Division II job, took a big pay cut, and decided to work his way up back to the top. And on the other side, you know, Alabama's Kalen DeBoer and Kane Womack, both at Indiana not too long ago as both coordinators, OC and DC.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. And this is when it's all said and done. About 2 months ago, one of these fan bases was chanting they wanted the other one.
Yes.
We want Bama.
And that was not Alabama chanting we want Indiana.
No, it definitely was not. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This has been the Off the Bench College Football Show. We still have one more hour to go on the radio side. So if you're on to YouTube, go get at us. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. We'll see you next time, YouTube.